If you're a social media lover like me, you will know the next person I'm bringing on stage. It's so beautiful to see him in person. I'm blown. Yes, it's obvious. I'm blushing. It's so beautiful to see Barrister Ekpa Stanley Ekpa with us here. Please, sir, may I invite you on stage while I take your citation? Thank you so much. Okay, he wants me to call him a lawyer. Okay. So, Ekpa is a lawyer and leadership consultant. He is the principal partner of Plan Partners, editor-in-chief, Nigerian Corruption Cases Law Reports, and the Nigerian Code of Conduct Law Reports. He is also the founder of Call a Lawyer Initiative and Fixing the Future. Lawyers like it succinct. Thank you so much, sir. You may please have the floor. Please clap. Let's receive from his well of wisdom. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Please, let's put our hands together once again for our compare, for the beautiful, brilliant job she is doing. It's always a beautiful thing when you see a lady who is brilliantly engaged on issues that affect society. One day, just like the current VP, Democratic Party in the US nominee, she too, perhaps, if she believes that governance or public leadership is the way, we'll also be involved also in piloting the affairs of this country, given the brilliance she has displayed today. The current nominee was also a teacher, so they share similar qualities. Please turn to the next participant close to you and congratulate the person for making it or being part of this event as a change agent. Congratulate the person, say congratulations for making it here as a change agent. Secondly, I would want to congratulate the SUG president. I wrote a book before I left IFE as an undergraduate, titled Democracy, That Shift for Development. And I argued in that book that we need to get to a point where if you appoint someone as a minister of youth and sports, for instance, the person must understand the fact that what it means to have a student union leadership of government is that you don't have people who are my age, who are 28, 30, 35, or even 40, struggling for power with the element of violence with these undergraduates, who the ministry should organize a national student leadership conference. And at such conference, after you've taught them, just as we've heard from professors, our distinguished professor of political science, and then of course our exemplary state director of the National Regional Agency, these are the kind of lecture they should hear about what leadership means. And then after such lectures or engagement, they will canvass ideas on what they are going to do for the fellow students in different campuses to which they are coming from. And they will be elected as leaders of students. So I'm really happy. You don't know how much happy I am. My head like is I can't really contain the joy I have that a brilliant young lady like this is the president of the student union of this school. Congratulations. And I'm sure that the Toad Network will do everything they can to support you through your administration. Our organization too, our shared future, we'll have to discuss with my leader, and then we'll see how we'll have to collaborate together. Because this event, the resources, it may not be financial resources, and that's what our speakers have actually mentioned. There are a lot of resources we can harness to make sure that your administration is successful and you have an impactful tenure. Thank you so much. I want to sincerely congratulate our organizers, the people that brought us to this place. To tell you how the ecosystem of governance works, I was one that actually reached out to the organizers of this event after I saw the previous event on someone's platform. I think that was how many years, last year or so. And I said, I really like what you're doing, and it's so amazing that you are doing this kind of thing. We have to constantly, have that kind of communication. And today we are here. I can't tell you enough how much this event means to me as a person, and I know it also does to you. For a reason that I understand that most of us here are students of science inclined or related courses. And so you have a privilege today of having going home with 2 certificates or 3 certificates. You've learned from a professor of political science, and so I can confidently say that somehow you've gotten a part certificate on the political economy of governance. And you've heard from an example. I keep using the word exemplary because you recall that the compare said Aladari came here. One of the first persons that came here at the exact time we were meant to start this event. Timeliness. That exactly is what we do not have. And it's part of the first element of variable of what we're looking at today, which is responsiveness. You know, when you write letter to government institutions, most cases, I do not believe National Orientation Agency is one of such agencies because they are here and they came here on time. Responsiveness. It doesn't take anything to say there's a phone number on the letter you wrote. We acknowledge the letter you've written to us. We are unable to attend to you for so reason, or we're able to attend to you for so reason. I mean, but it just doesn't take anything. The list of things that our government officials should worry about, but they don't do it in most instances, except some tertiary institutions, because Prof is here, so I would want to include tertiary institutions. I'm not just including it really, I'm including it because I've actually seen. I had a program at Nigerian Defense Academy, a master's program, and I see the efficiency of that institution really. And I know most of the institutions are also that way. I called someone from this institution yesterday when we got here, because the National Institute for Legislative and Democratic Studies, they have a program domiciled here that is for PhD program in governance and all those things. When I spoke to the person, I saw the responsiveness. So what we are doing here today is not, as Prof. rightly said, it's not to entirely say we are blaming the government or casting stones or anybody, no. We are saying that there are things that define the things we look up to in other countries. We want to go to Dubai, we want to go to France, we want to go to UK. It is human beings, the human agents, people that constitute the institutions. They are the ones that make up the institutions in those countries. This is not someone from heaven. It is someone from their constituencies. And at this event, I'm happy and I'm confident that at the end of the day, we will raise leaders who see themselves as change agents and who are prepared for the future we are looking at. The future of this country is possible. The future that works, where we don't have to go to protest. By the way, did anyone here go to protest? No one? You see, protest is a fundamental, as our speakers have said, it's a fundamental right that you cannot do without. As far as there's a constitutional democracy, as far as we don't have a military, even when we have a military rule, what made us to get to the First Republic was as a result of some fearless Nigerians who understand the fact that you do not have to destroy public properties, because when you do so, it is still the same people who are in power, who are trying to protest against, that will have to do appropriation again and put some big money and are repairing those things. Eventually, they are stealing from us. Because as one of the elements of what we are going to discuss today, is the quality of service you render as a public official or someone who is a leader. In our case, it's usually not that way. And the only way you know that is, look at this environment, look at this place, and look at the picture of somebody who has gone abroad and took the picture on social media and said, I'm doing graduation. If you can boldly take a picture of this, I'm not saying this place is not fine, but fineness in the context of where the word is. I'm not talking about my father's word is. Where a Chinese person of our generation, I'm not too old, please don't look at me as if I'm too old. I'm just, a very old man in a very handsome, small, youthful body. So if I take myself in that context, it then means that I should be thinking the way someone in China, someone in Singapore will see infrastructure, for instance. I'm not talking of public service delivery now, because what we are going to look at here, and I'm happy that our previous speakers have done a very good work in this scholarly analysis, clarification of the concept and all that has to do with that. What we're just going to do here is look at what is it really that you, sitting down here, would have to do tomorrow when given the chance. And the fact that tomorrow we're looking at starts today, not tomorrow. Today. There's a young lady that is part of the United Nations environmental and clean energy advocacy. She's way younger than 95% of us sitting down here. So when we talk of governance, I don't want us to look at governance from the narrow perspective of the governance being those who we've been trusted with the responsibility to lead us alone. No, governance is very broad. Governance has to start with self-governing. Self-governing. Unless you govern yourself, just forget it. Tomorrow comes and it's still the same story we are repeating. We have other children, students will keep here and keep telling the same story. The first element is self-governance, because that is where, as you are in school now, you realize the fact that you need to self-envision your future, preparing exactly where do I be in 5 years when you're out of school. And that comes with a lot of responsibility in the current Nigeria that we're in, because when you're out of school and perhaps you are not too connected, you begin to join the struggle. The struggle of where do you serve, which state do you serve, where do you work when you are done with service, how do you get the job? The struggle as to if you do not want to work, how do you get the little experience or industry exposure in the industry you want to go into and begin to see if you can create a job in that space. Or if you want to join the media or the civil society organization, how do you contribute without being compromised? A lot of challenges. And so you must start on time. You can't wait for the future, the future of tomorrow. You can't afford to sit down here and think that tomorrow comes and you give me your lap. It doesn't work that way. Even the politicians are aware of that, and that's why they go early. Our current president, and let me be honest a bit, I admire President Bola Tinubu for one reason. If you had followed the story, you realize the fact that it took him more than 30 years to prepare for where he is today now. More than 30 years. And there are 3 ways to become a president in any country. Is that nature has designed you, and if they have the light, let it fall. Nature, that's God now. Nature or God will put you there. And that's what happened to Lord Jonathan, our former president. Within the bracket of 6 years, for 8 years, he was already in the State House as president. Or the established institutions or establishment want to put you there, as was in the case of Shehu Shagari, our former president Buhari and the likes. Or the way the current president did. In that case, it is the same thing I'm telling you now. You must fight for that future you want. You must design it yourself. And you must ensure that it aligns with exactly what you have in mind. Nothing is impossible actually, if you can design that kind of future really. So let's look at those things that I think that should be very important for the future we're looking at. Number one thing I think we should begin to be conscious of as young persons, and the future of this country is knowledge. Knowledge. You see, knowledge is so critical, knowledge is so powerful that it gives you access to information that ordinarily you are unable to have. I know information is the currency you need to take into the future you are looking at. And what you don't know, anything you do not know in this life, is so old and so linked to you that it will be before you and you are able to see it. So the first element of what I think as a young person or the future of this country must look at is knowledge. A leader without knowledge. You are limited by what you know and what you do not know. And so you must expound your mind and ensure that your mindset goes broadly beyond just the classroom. But the classroom is so limiting, but the kind of curriculum we have in this country. It's so limiting. You must pass your exams. But again, even with passing your exams, you understand the fact that you have 24 hours in a day. And that 24 hours must be balanced in a way that you have first sufficient knowledge to prepare you for that future I was saying you must prepare for. And you pass your exam and come out excellently well. There's nothing that says you can balance everything that requires the all-round ramification, all-round successful person that you are. It can't come from just being successful academically. I'm telling you that for free now. It can't. You must be spiritually grounded. You must be knowledgeable and informed. To the extent that by the time you are giving the microphone at any given platform, even if you are an introvert, you don't talk in public, you must be able to at least make comments that reflect that this is who you are as a person. So knowledge is very important. But there's something fundamental I think we begin to consider as we hear these lectures. Before, there is this messaging language, LOL, right? Yeah? I don't know why any of us have used the LOL long language.
If you have not used, let me see your hand. You have not used. You don't have the WhatsApp? Eh? You have. So if someone says LOL, laugh out loud. Please, let's clap for him. He's living in the world of my grandfather, and he's not easy to do that really because. But again, the beautiful thing about future leaders is that there is a new dimension to LOL. And I don't know whether anyone knows about the new dimension, the new meaning of LOL in leadership. I would have said I would give 10,000 to the person, if there's anyone. Because I'm in the class, I'm learning soon. The new dimension to LOL, the law. Okay. Please, let's give the microphone. Let me bring to you. Please forgive me if I have a job. It doesn't. Thank you.
Like the new dimension of LOL I know is Lord, that is LOL set. Lord. Yes.
Another person? Do you have another person that wants to try?
The meaning of LOL. Okay. Please, what is the name? For attempting, for trying, you will get 5,000 and not the full price. Attempting, for trying. Because the first thing you need in this life is to make the attempts. Don't care about whatever is the result of it. Just make the attempts. You are designed as you, not as you and this person. No, you. This is me, Ekpa, Stanley, Ekpa. And I have to go out every day to make sure I make an attempt that aligns with who I am. If I fail, good. But I've got to learn from the mistakes I make, attempt to be myself. He has taught us a very big lesson by attempting to answer the question. Now, in leadership studies, the new LOL means that you must learn, you must observe, you must listen, you must observe, and you must learn. So rather than quickly to laugh because someone has said something, you must listen. I'm saying this because the current state of our country requires that we pay careful attention to what affects the country and how our leaders are making mistakes. We can't complain of these people and then we're not prepared to be different. It means significantly different from where they are. I'm not saying that we should create a dichotomy between them and us. No, there's nothing like that. Because leadership requires, or governance now requires that we, the people employed, our governors or our public officials. And it's like opening a company. When you open a company, it is you who employ your staff. When your staffs are failing, you either fire them or you record them. That this thing you're doing, we are warning you. The only problem we have is that in our own context, just like I think it's Prof that mentioned it, that it's a country or citizens deserve the kind of leaders they have. The only issue with that expression is that the fact that if we do not have an electoral system that allows us to vote and our vote counts, trust me, we cannot be said to be classified as deserving of the kind of leaders we have. But I agree, our leaders are people like us. Most of them, like the people that the obedient movement revolution brought to power, they are the National Assembly now, right? Some of them were ordinary citizens like us, Okada riders in some places like in Delta, and also the late honorable that died in Kaduna State. It was ordinary person like all of us, struggling and hustling, complaining about the government. And so we must understand from that context that it is we who employ these people. But if we do not elect them, if we do not have the power to elect them, it will be entirely difficult to control what they do. So the people we are looking at today, we must learn from them. We must learn from the broad challenges of our communities, and we must say these mistakes they are making, God forbid, that we're part of such process, in the future. That's the only way truly to which you can carefully observe and you would have learned. Let me say something that is very also fundamental. In 1983, that was part of what Prof said initially. The late Professor Chino Achebe, global citizen, in his treatise he talked about the trouble with Nigeria. What he was saying is that the trouble with Nigeria was squarely leadership, right? But today it's not about squarely leadership, to be honest with you. Squarely a problem of entrenched citizens' character crisis. It is everywhere. Let's just be honest with ourselves, really. Even with this little English I'm struggling to speak now, if they give me one small opportunity, the tendency that I'm going to succeed in doing the right thing truly is very slim, it's very low. So it has gotten so bad that the leaders as again had to influence our culture. And the culture we have today is no longer a culture of seeing governance as purely service to the people, really. It is now a culture of thinking that I must grab something, really, forgetting that one day what we are dragging may most likely collapse. And if it collapses, nobody will survive it. Even those that are running or that have gotten houses abroad. That's why I do not support. I see all the candidates we had in the last election as all being the same. All being the same because Peter Obi was the person that had the most youth support, right? But again, you can't say you want to lead the country and you want kids outside the country doing what they outside the country. It's a shameful thing that I would want to lead this country and my child won't go to either Obafemi Awolowo University where I went to, or other schools where they are in this country. Because there can't be another country and I have the burning zeal that the schools where they are must not look this standard really. So I don't see any difference. And the only way to make it work is the next variables we should look at, which is vision and vision. I can please pardon my language. Not some of you as speakers initially, your language or your English is quite different from with the older generation. So when I call vision, please it's the same thing I'm saying. But again, the most important thing you must understand is that almost everything that brought us to this place we've seen, this place we are today, is as a result of the vision that other people had really. Someone had the notion that this thing can produce light to have a better effect here. And we're having this thing. My question to you is, as you study whether in sciences or in art or any other course you're doing, you must realize something. Tomorrow when you are called to lead, you won't be called because you are science inclined. You won't be called because you are a political scientist. You won't be called because you're a lawyer. No. You will be called because from the constituency or community where you serve, you could be a medical doctor or medical laboratory or something, that you have served your country and you've shown the credentials or competence to lead. That is why you'll be called. But again, what vision do you have really as a person? Without that vision, really, we can't build a country that is productive. Because if you look at this hall now, except even this wood itself has a foreign furnishing. This wood you are seeing here, the tree perhaps is from our forest here. But even the finishing you are seeing here is not Nigerian product. There is nothing except the air we breathe in this place. If you look up and you see that there's something as a Nigerian product, the plastic water we're drinking, except the water that is inside it, the plastic effect of it is foreign. And that is visionlessness for over 64 years that we've wasted our life as a sovereign state, not as individuals. But I'm confident that God will not allow anybody here waste our future. Your futures are bright. Your futures, and dreams are possible. And I'm confident that if you just think a little bit of where you want to be, I'm sure the fact that even though our country is hard, you are going to have the how you are going to get to that place. So vision is very important. You must be visionary. You must, cast your mind beyond just the academic classroom effects. No country has ever succeeded without having visionary leaders. But again, it's not enough to have visions as leaders really. Unless you're able to communicate the vision you have, you're not going anywhere really. Even as an individual, when you have ideas that you want to excel or you want to thrive in businesses, you must look for investors who you pitch such ideas to and tell them this is what this business is all about. If the organizers of this event, and please let's put our hands together once again for the convener. If the organizers of this event did not have the vision and then did not go out to say no, let's put this into a communication format and then speak to the guest and invited you to, who are our special guests, the participants. This event will be here. So you must understand the place of communication. Communication is everything and everything is communication. If there's anything that you take home today from here, please put it that way. Communication is everything and everything is communication. What my friend here says is absolutely right. And if we have the right leaders that communicate with people, trust me, this country will not be where it is now. You know why? The people will understand more what the government is doing. They will have an input. Even there will be no need to go to protest. What are we protesting for? We are saying that the government is not doing that which is meant to do under section 14 of the Constitution. That the Constitution says that the only responsibility that these people have
is to make sure that the welfare and the safetyness of all of us here is secure. Nothing more, nothing less. They don't have any business using the convoy we are seeing is not what define governance. Sending my child abroad is not what define governance. Using security agencies to police somebody and arrest everybody is not what define governance. What define governance is clearly how much I'm back to my constituency, and my constituents, the constituents' needs have been felt by me providing the solution. For me to do that, I must go to the constituency. I must communicate with them. Communication is not a one-way traffic. It's a two-way thing. You tell me what you need, I tell you how the government is going to solve it. And the government is not doesn't know it all. The government also needs ideas from the people, because one man cannot know it more than 2 million persons. And so communication is important. That is responsiveness. Responsiveness. If government wants to remove subsidy, nobody's saying that we should remove subsidy. We pay billions of naira every month to people that we do not know what they are doing with the money. And they tell us that we have how many thousand liters of PMS that we're using every day. And we're not using that in the right measurement, because on the right demand side of leadership, what we are meant to have is data that says that this is the exact number of what we are using. But we do not have the data. And data is part of the communication. You can't just come and tell somebody that the constituency, you want to build roads, you want to build schools, you want to build health centers. You don't know how many schools are there. You don't know how many health care that you need to either renovate or build new ones. So in everything you do, you must put communication as the forefront of it, and try as much as you can to effectively communicate to your community of influence. But again, communication is not about speaking Queen's English. Please let me make that clear, so that someone will not go and be struggling. This is where we are in Nigeria. Nothing will make me want to go and speak Queen's English. This English I'm speaking, I like what our compare is doing. She's speaking very eloquent, perfect English, right? But this is Ekpa Stanley. But my own English has to be the one that, I learned growing up in the village. I grew up in the village. And I can't force myself to compete with somebody's son that was all in the US or in the UK. It's not the same thing. Our environments are the same thing. I'm entirely different. But what do? I must make sure I say what's on my mind in a way that you must understand it. Communication is also not using big grammars to confuse people really. In legal drafting, there's something we call ambiguity clause that must be removed from the clauses, so that the common man will understand what the law is trying to say. It's the same thing with leaders also trying to pass out information to the people. You must be clear, concise, and precise with what you are trying to say. And people will respond to you, understand exactly what you want to say. But the beautiful thing about this whole thing, you cannot communicate what does not reflect your value as a person. I'm being honest with you. You cannot say what does not reflect your values. So value is very critical, very, very important. There is something we partnered with National Religion to initially, one of our groups, Shared Future. It's called the VVEP Social Change. The 6 VVEPs of social change. Vision, value, voice, votes, venture, I think one other V. Those V's are very vital, but the most important of it all is your value. And in our today's material world, people think that the only way to make it is when you are involved in criminality or corruption. Just look at how broad the world is. Everybody is making it with their smartphones and with all smart ideas that come to them. Some very foolish people, yes, still think that the only way they can make it is if they steal all the money that is meant to make students here comfortable. It doesn't work that way. Because you are not living this world alive with it, and you can't live comfortably knowing that you are eating the money that is belonging to other persons. But how do you avoid the temptation of not stealing such money? It's when you have the right value defining you at this stage of your life. Not when you are already strong, strong-willed like me. At this age, I can only change, only few things can change again, to be honest with you. Because some of my values are already so intact and so strong. It only takes some of those things I used to do then, back in the uni, for me to say, no, this thing does not align with what we're doing there. At the Bafumi University, I was president of law, and we organized an event. This PDP last presidential candidate, we invited this Peter Obi then. Peter Obi was living then, I think he had left office. This was in 2016 ending. 2016 going to 2017. We invited 2 of them to come. Obi did not come. Atiku came. I'm not supporting anybody, to be honest, so that I won't say this is not a political movement. I don't support PDP in the last election anyway. But Atiku came. But before Atiku came,
Atiku called us in office in Abuja and said, what do we need? Because you understand the way student body works. And I told him, Your Excellency, what we need is for you to come. Discuss the legal framework for achieving the 2014 National Confab. How do we implement that confab? Using restructuring as an instrument. When I finished, I said, no. What about you? What do you need? I told him that, Your Excellency, I'm an Igbo person by birth. Now in Yoruba land. I'm one of the few persons that have been lucky to be president of that faculty as an Igbo person. If you give us this money, because 2 presidents before my time were all impeached because they embezzled money. If you give us this money to do anything as student body, there is likely to be a problem. What we do not have since 1962 that faculty was established is a vehicle that takes students when they are going for moot and more competition or the faculty going for anything. Now, I will be happy, Your Excellency, if you can get a bus and say related to the Faculty of Law of Mayowa University by Tukabaka. I was so happy. So happy. But that is not the story. On the day of the event, he lost one of his key assistants. So I was thinking, just like the way our organizers were running, the anxious, our guests, will they be here, will they not be here this morning? We were all thinking whether he will be there or not. Lo and behold, before the time, just like our state director did today, he was there at the venue. Then when he had finished his lecture, he said, because of this kind of values of this guy saying money is not what brought them to Abuja, that brought down for you to come and speak to them, that I'm giving them 5 million naira cash that day. Atiku gave us that money. But the most important thing is that I already knew some of my people, and that's why your own generation will be different, really. You cannot afford to be like ours or the ones before us. You can't. Because let me be honest with you, if you do, there will be no country left again. That is not the honest truth. My colleagues were already, before the money came in, they were already telling me, once the man mentioned the money, they already come and ask, Stanley, the account we should use is the second account of the association. I said, I went to my dean, Professor Ademola Popola. I told him, Prof, we need the faculty account to put this money. So the money was cash. The bag they gave us has a lot of big currency, hard currency, dollars and all that. They gave us our small one. Now our small one is where the problem lies. We have to put it in the faculty account, not student account now. And I told the dean that I had 4 more weeks at the end of my administration. This morning, within 1 week, the money will go. And nothing will happen. The highest they will say is that they will pick. The student does not stop me from going to law school. But again, my name as Ekpa, Stanley Ekpa, ESE. I will not have that confidence to go on social media and be writing articles on national dailies every day. It doesn't make any sense. The man was so happy. And after the event, my schools were fighting me. How can we be struggling, fighting like this, suffering like this to go to Abuja, to go to Lagos, to drink this, and we cannot have money to say this our schools reimbursement? This. I said, no, we are called to serve. We ran for election. We say we are better than this person. This is a true test of knowing whether truly you are serving the people really. Eventually, we left the many money because we had to go to the faculty. And we put up a notice and say, before our time, one of the biggest problems we face is that LSS was always owing the vendors that do event, they owe them. So we have debt. I put up a public notice that say, if LSS is owing money, come to the dean's office with the receipt of your transaction with LSS. They came, they cleared the debt, we did our law week, the remaining one, we left to the faculty. Now, I'm saying this because even that value that we're trying to say, we have little integrity that we want to build then. When we left school, and Nigeria wasn't providing the things that we needed, as hardworking Nigerians, not those that former President Buhari said lazy Nigerians. We were tempted for that because we saw our contemporaries riding Benz, and we just sit down. Myself and my friend were sharing one room in Abuja. We just sit down and say, are you sure we'll not join these guys? He just takes laptop and, but again, we now remember that we left 5 million naira, right? Yours need not to be big amount of money. Yours needs even to be just transaction you have with people. Being honest about it, right? Being sincere about it. Being accountable to that person you are dealing with, even in your room, really. That it was those values that we were able to build. Those little values, we didn't even know we were only building something that saved us. I know one thing. If that my friend wants to do anything tomorrow like this, and the Code of Conduct Tribunal or the DSS want to go and do vetting, but there's always what they call vetting before they can give you, if they give you appointment, you have to go to be vetted. Like you don't have criminal records. And do not think that as you are young, as you are students, the things you do that the government do not know. Apart from God, after God, the next command is the government.
And just like George Orwell's, George Orwell's 1984.
The government is all-knowing, except when they don't want. Now they are protecting themselves from practice. Not everyone anyway, but it will come to a time when you want to have your values intact would want to do something. That is when you realize that the government has a lot of data, information concerning that the fact that you are in the school, the fact of where you went to after the school, the fact of your financial transactions, the fact of some of your communications on the phone. So you must strive as best as you can to make sure that you build values that not even societal temptations can break. That is what defines who you are really. Not the money. Except if you've not read, like the names that Prof read out here and some of the ideas that Alaji, espoused. They reference individuals. Those people's reason of reference is not because of money. I hope you know. Nobody in the reference they give now is referenced because of money, the money they have. No one. Money is important. I do not say you shouldn't pursue money. It's very important, really. But that's why I'm saying that you must have your own vision as a person that will have to deter you from being involved in engaged activities that stops or that interferes with that value you're trying to build. Value. Very important. But something that I see that is as much important in leadership as value is empathy, right? Empathy. Empathy and inclusiveness. You are given a responsibility to do something for your constituency. And a constituency, as I defined earlier, a constituency can be any community you find yourself. It can be your room. As a student, it can be your department. It can be your religious organization. It can be your state organizations. You see, empathy is very important. Because the only reason why there is a collective engagement that enabled you to say you want people to give you the mandate to lead them is because you understand the fact that governance is about people, leadership is about people. And if you remove people, right, the remaining thing left is yourself, nothing more. So you must build that space of empathy in your heart. That at any material time you want to take any decision, you must align with if you are the receiving end of this thing. Will you be happy that someone is treating you that way? If you are the receiving end of that action of the government, will you be happy really? And so from this starting point of who you are, as an emerging or an aspiring leader in any space you want to find yourself, you must take the place of empathy very, very serious. And you must ensure that your actions help to bridge the divide, the gap that we have in different dividing components of wherever you find yourself. I do not want us to see issues of governance and leadership as just something so complex at the national level. I mean, it's a national problem, right? But it starts small. At little places where we have issues of diversity, you must make sure that everybody is involved. There's a collective will before you make it, before you come at a final decision. As our president is here now, the president of the student union, you can't just go and say you want to take a decision and the decision you are taking is just a decision that fits you and your ESCOs. No. Because there are about 4,000 or 3,000 students in this school that have different faculties, and they have faculty presidents, they have departmental presidents, and they have spiritual or state religious organizations. You must carry everybody along. And at the end of the day, when your administration is defined, it's not defined by you building just only bridges that connect hostels. It's defined by policies of what you have, that your students are able to understand the future of work, the skills they need for the future really. Because without that skill, the world is evolving so fast. Some of the works you are going to meet when you leave school are the works that AI, artificial intelligence are already going to take up. By 2030 and time flies, some of those works are not going to be there for you. But if you are skilled, if you reskill and skill up in a way that you are fully prepared to take up any task, trust me, you will fit in any sector that you find yourself. Whatever course you would have studied now won't be a factor really. it is the responsibility of leaders to find out these needs of the people. Not just by rhetorics, not just by words or by manifesto, but in action. After being appointed or being elected, that's when the responsibility starts. After being given a task, after I entered into a contract with someone as an individual, that's when the responsibility starts. But something I am so particular about in my life is the quality of what you offer as a person. You are given a chance to polish a shoe. How do you polish that shoe? Does the shoe come out with all the reflection of your mind that you poured into it? Or you came out because you know it will be paid 150 and 150 doesn't deserve your time to be doing that? No. The biggest problem we have in this country is that you are given a contract to purchase a microphone. Microphone in Nigeria in the open market is sold for less than 100 naira. We are still paying for this public fund for 150 naira. Yet, you are purchasing the most inferior quality of this microphone. And yet, you are purchasing it at a higher cost. As at the time, the same microphone that was purchased in China, for instance, will be spoiling in the next 5 years' time. Our own would have purchased more than 3 of these at a higher cost too. So open your mind to quality. And I'm saying, because as I said earlier on, I do not want us to look at governance from too broad perspective that has to do with just those we give power. No, it is what you do from today. You must make it that conscious decision that everything that comes from you, when you submit your assignment, lecturer will read and smile. This is a student of the future. And when you write, I started writing on National Daily when I was in school, when I was at the university really. Not when I left. I tried as much as I can to see how I understand societal issues. And that's why I say the new LOL should be listen, serve, and learn. Not the law of laugh out loud. I was trying to consciously observe my society and environment. Trump was running for election then when he said they will colonize Africa. I said, no, Your Excellency, you're a global citizen. You can't colonize us because I have to give my own reason. That was my first article I published. Leadership newspaper published it, I think 2 others. And my lecturer came to class, he was so happy. And it took me a while to do a research properly. So I won't write rubbish. Because I'll write something now when I'm 5 years time down the line, I'll look and I'll say, wow, why did I write this rubbish? And it was already published, it would have already been published. So you must pay attention to details. If there's anything I want for myself, is that I don't want to step out and there are excessive errors. This is human life, right? Errors are meant to occur. But you must pay attention to giving the best service, the best quality, the best value, the best quality to whatever it is you are doing. I assure you, this is not the public, my politician's assurance now. This statement is the second statement. I said communication is everything and everything is communication, that component. But this one now, you have to write it down in your mind, not your papers. The quality of what you give, the value of what you turn out, that is what defines who you are. When the whole connection is gone. I do not think Prof is a professor of political science because he wasn't giving his best. If not, the historical background he gave, aligning this with the concept clarification, those things only come from somebody who has a deeply, entrenched mindset of academic excellence and scholarship, excellence in scholarship. You can't buy that in the market, I'm telling you. You can't get it anywhere, you can't pick it on the road. It is something you develop over time. And that is why I think the only way to build that mindset of quality is if you follow the process. Follow the process. You can't follow the process as a public official or someone who has the responsibility of governance if you have not followed the process in the course of your life. The process is so fundamental, so important that it is everything that defines what's on how the state or institutions of the state delivers excellence in public service delivery, or is responsible, or is impactful. So follow the process. If you follow the process and you put your mind on building that excellence, you will build excellence, in everything you do. And perhaps the variables we anchor it for me on this segment will be stewardship, really. Stewardship. Accountability is key. But it starts with being accountable to yourself. Being accountable to yourself, governing yourself.
That's the first thing I said earlier, that governance is not only being narrowed to public officials. It has to do with self-governance too. If you cannot self-discipline yourself, if you cannot self-control yourself, enforcing yourself, I wake up to do something in the morning, and I'm still on the phone, to say, let me just do 5 minutes on IG, 5 minutes on Twitter, and respond to things on WhatsApp. Before you know it, Facebook will take 30 minutes. You don't have self-control. You are not disciplined, you are not governing yourself. You are allowing the tech you have in your hand, which should have been an instrument for you to excel, to control who you are. And no one is beautiful about this life and time. When you are busy doing that, someone else who has also similar dreams with you is busy pursuing that is your dream. And when you see, you say, ah, God, I thought of this thing yesterday now. I was meant to work on this thing last month. It is only the person that is out front that the world reckons with, not the person who has it in his mind. We are all walking, dreams. All of us walking around with our dreams. They are something in the world. But unless you govern yourself, discipline yourself, and enforce yourself, not the way the government enforce you to wear your seatbelt or to obey the traffic rules or do all those regulatory issues that has to do with you obeying the law. Unless you be the government of your own self, it will be entirely difficult for you, to have that stewardship at the bigger level when you are given the opportunity. And lastly, before we drop the microphone, you see, you can't afford not to be involved. Whether you study political science or medicine, law, or anything really, everything about the government involves you as a person. Everything about the government. Because you are here, the government registered you, approved that you should be here. The day I gave birth to you, whether it was, in our own time, I don't know whether they have birth certificates anyway. But again, even the government will still request me to bring birth certificates. And sometimes we'll still have to go and lie with birth certificates. And when you are dead, when you die, you are not dead yet until when you have a death certificate. So everything about who you are sitting down here is controlled by the government. I can't afford to sit down and say, don't worry, let us be doing it. And your own place of activeness is on social media alone. No. I'm aware that some of us are not up to 18. But as our director of the National Orientation Agency said, or the state branch said, you see the Constitution, both in Section 23 and 24, that creates the duties of the Constitution of the citizens under Section 24, and the one 22, 23 that creates on ethics, rightly spells two fundamental things: your right as a person, and then your duties as a person, responsibility as a person. That responsibility is the most important of it all. And as I said earlier on, what we are doing is actually just like you establishing a company. The company you establish, you have to employ someone. The people you employ are the government, the public officials, either elected or appointed. And they must be accountable to you as the company owner. You are the company owner of Nigeria. Nigeria is the company you own. And if you sit down, then you realize the fact that how much you compete, how much you win, how much you succeed after you leave school will be controlled by the government. And if there are sectors that you need to compete, there are no favorable regulations. You challenge those regulations, even from as a student. There is nothing stopping you. The age limitation for votes does not stop you from challenging the government if the regulations or policies are bad. I know the best way to challenge the government. Why we are here in the tertiary institution? Because the government feared students or the best environment the most. The government cannot bring military men into this place to say you are protesting peacefully, because even your right to protest also has limitations under the law. No law is absolute. So when you say you want to express your protest, there are different ways to protest. You can write different opinions. You cannot say you want to line and you're creating a very long line. All of you are carrying something inscribing what exactly you are saying. And once you invite the media, and the media would want to listen to you more than they want to listen to someone like me, and they want to do it for free. So you can't afford to sit down and say government should just do it the way they want to do it, because definitely no government in the world, even in the America we're looking at, no government in the world is self-accountable. No, there must be fire somewhere that is propelling the government to be accountable to people. And you here, you are the agent of that future we are looking at. The most important thing you must take out from this place today is the fact that the future of a Nigeria that is functional, that is productive, that is safe, and works for every Nigerian is possible. But that possibility is not possible unless you are involved in it. And I'm confident of the fact that yes, with you, that future is something that we can achieve. Thank you. God bless you. And God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
quality of what you give out defines you. Thank you so much, sir. You have done justice. We are blown. Our minds are more expanded. And we are promising that we will do better as citizens and young people. Please have your seats. Thank you so much. I've been thrilled. It's so beautiful to see Ekpa Stanley Ekpa in person. Thank you so much. So very quickly, I'll take 2 quiz questions before we have the panel. We appreciate our guest speakers so much. Thank you for being patient. You're so patient. Thank you for staying with us from the beginning till now. And we crave your presence. We covet it. Ask you to stay with us till the end. Have the seats. So very quickly, the usher who takes the mic round. 2 questions, just 2 questions from this session we just had. The microphone, please. Can we have it? No. Okay. Okay, you have the mic. Okay. I'm trying to think of how to put this question. His presentation was simple sentences, and everyone understood. So I feel like there's no question I should be asking that nobody will have an answer. So I'm even afraid to ask. So he mentioned that leadership is packed in 6 V's. 6 V's. 6 V's. 6 V's. So somebody should just mention 4 for me. 4 over 6. 4 over 6. Now your hands are up. So as a just teacher, this person wearing the white was the first person to raise his hand. Oh no, you won a gift before. Oh, sorry. And this is a boy, so for gender, so I'll call a female. This is the first female that raised her hand. On a jersey, okay, it's a polo. So he mentioned 6 V's. Please answer, pick. Mention 4, just 4.
Vision, vote, value, and venture.
Perfect. Please, a round of applause for her. Please, applause for her. It's not easy to be listening and still. So the second question, our delightable speaker gave 2 notable sentences. He said 2 notable sentences that every student should remember. He said 2 things, 2 sentences that if you didn't take anything from this talk, you should hold them by the left hand so you don't eat with them like the Yoruba people say. So if you can mention those 2 sentences, they were short, simple, and you should be able to remember. Yes. He was the first to raise his hand. Let's have it.
He said communication is everything and everything is communication. Then the second sentence is quality of what you offer defines who you are.
Amazing. Please give me a round of applause. It means that we have participants who are truly participating. So very quickly we would have the panel session. I have a couple of questions I'm going to be asking our speakers, who will now be panelists. Please, if you have a question you want to ask, it's been bothering you, take your time and write